Hello and welcome once again everyone. Today's replay highlight features the Tier VIII Premium Russian battleship Lenin. I have to give a special shout out to Finkso from the clan Garbage Men for sharing this particular match, which features some great action from the recent ranked sprint season. The ship upgrades and captain skills can be seen here on screen. Lenin comes armed with 9 406mm guns, mounted in 3 turrets, all of which are mounted close together on the bow of the ship. Combined with the unique dispersion formula for Russian battleships, the tightness of the shell groupings can be truly frightening to behold, especially when you're on the receiving end. Lenin does, however, pay a heavy price for this increased close-range accuracy by having the longest reload time of all Tier VIII battleships and a relatively short max firing range. She does, however, possess a 360-degree second turret and a very fast turret rotation speed, which is also typical of Russian battleships, which is improved even more in this case by our captain, who is using the special commander Alexander Ovechkin. The red tracers are normally a dead giveaway for this captain. Lenin is extremely well armoured, including a 50mm upper belt and a 45mm deck armour. She also possesses a 100mm strip of armour along the waterline of her bow. She has an above waterline citadel, so captains should be wary of showing too much broadside to enemy battleships. However, with Lenin's unique turret setup and quick turret traverse, staying perfectly angled to the enemy while being able to bring all your guns to bear on target is not that difficult. A very good rule of thumb: if Lenin can get all 9 guns on target at once, you are probably not angled well enough. The enemy Lo Yang is coming under heavy air attack by the Graf Zeppelin. He's already down to half health. He's beginning to smoke up. The cover of the island, of course, doesn't save you from aircraft carriers. Our captain is attempting to get a bead on this enemy Edinburgh, who is also hiding in smoke. You can see from the map layout with 3 capture points, it does differ from random battles in this 7-on-7 lineup. With the presence of carriers, it means the options of getting into concealment and any efforts of making a surprise attack are virtually ruled out, which in all likelihood will lead to some brutal face-to-face fighting, where the Lenin absolutely excels. It would appear that our captain seems to be baiting the enemy into the open here by showing a lot of broadside. Shots out on the NC, who is sporting one of the distinctive Halloween camos. Gets a citadel on the North Carolina, who surprisingly enough was shooting at one of the cruisers at the opposite side of the map. Our captain decides now to start reversing. Enemy North Carolina is accompanied by a Richelieu, just after getting undetected, just to the right behind that island. North Carolina is pretty well angled here. There's a great example of that extremely tight shell grouping you can get that I referred to earlier. The French destroyer Fantasque gets taken out by the enemy Hipper. And now our captain is in a tricky position. He is being forced to angle against these 2 battleships, and now the added focus coming in from the enemy Lexington, enemy torpedo planes coming in. The enemy North Carolina has inexplicably come to a halt. Shots out on that second turret, and that's Citadel and the captain's first kill of the game. He takes 2 torpedoes from the enemy Lexington and gets citadeled by the Richelieu. So he's taken a huge chunk of damage there. Second wave of torpedo planes coming in. He is a little fortunate here. The Lexington has rushed his drop, but This situation is far from ideal. He's being crossfired by cruisers on both his left and right flank. He's still forced to angle bow in towards the enemy Richelieu, who's on the corner of that island. Shots out on that enemy Atago, who is angled away. Still does manage to do almost 10,000 damage. Enemy Richelieu is taking up a nice position behind this island. He is being focused by the friendly cruisers. Enemy Lexington is spotted. Hipper is advancing down the flank. Another wave of enemy torpedo planes about to come in. Attempt to get a salvo away on the Lexington, but he gets undetected. Here come the torpedo planes from the enemy Lexington once again. He hasn't rushed this drop. Manages to land 2 torpedoes, taking out her captain's rudder. He's forced to damage con. Our captain is still in a very dangerous position. Enemy Richelieu seems to sense weakness and is pushing it forward. He is quite well angled, so our captain is aiming for the superstructure. Just gets 2 overpens. Takes a 6k damage salvo from the Richelieu in the process. Switches his guns to the enemy Lexington. Gets double citadel, high caliber. Richelieu has exposed his citadel onto that front turret and gets deleted in the process. That was the risk he took. There was no need for the enemy Richelieu to risk exposing a citadel there. He had the HP advantage. And our captain is going to rub salt in the wound by giving him a gentle push beneath the waves. Our captain has come out of this engagement trading incredibly well. Not only was he outnumbered 2-1 by enemy battleships, but was taking quite a bit of random fire from cruisers from both flanks, all the while incurring the full wrath of the enemy carrier, tanking almost 1 million potential damage and dishing out over 120k damage himself in the process. The enemy Lexington, however, remains determined. He's coming in once again with torpedo planes. The captain has activated his priority AA defense, but is unable to prevent that drop. He takes another 2 torpedoes, luckily on his belt, and there is no flooding. Hipper would be his next target of choice, although it is quite long range. He's just managed to get undetected. Enemy Edinburgh, still positioned behind that island, unable to get any kind of angle to get fire on him. Enemy Atago is retreating in the distance on that flank. And while our captain has been quite successful removing the 2 enemy battleships, the team has struggled to match his efforts, and currently over 230 points behind on the scoreboards due to that C point being flipped in favour of the enemy. Enemy Lexington coming in this time once again with dive bombers, although it would appear he switched to the turrets. It's quite a strange move on the part of the enemy carrier. He has been fully focused on our captain for virtually the duration of this match. You would expect the carrier to persevere in his attacks at this point, so he has given our captain a little bit of breathing room at this point. Enemy Hipper is turning inwards, although would appear to be now showing more broadside shots away on the enemy hipper. Our captain once again focuses his anti-aircraft defense on the enemy dive bombers. He's taking fire from the Lo Yang, who's smoked up in that capture point, and he's hydroed by the Lo Yang. This enemy hipper now is quite low, and he is approaching that range where the Lenin becomes more accurate. Just only manages 2000 damage, and he gets undetected. Our captain puts up his fighters. Enemy carrier is coming in once again. Hipper is spotted, is showing full broadside. Shots out on that enemy hipper. Oh, and our captain is very unfortunate there. That enemy hipper is down to 113 HP. So unfortunate. That hipper does get taken out by the friendly hipper. That swings the points a little bit closer, just over 100 points in the difference. And now our captain starts pushing into this sea capture point to attempt to aid the friendly Tirpitz, who is pushing through that central gap. Enemy Edinburgh briefly spotted. Our captain attempts to get a volley off in the smoke. Only gets 2 overpens. The friendly Tirpitz eats a wave of Lo Yang torpedoes and is taken out. And that enemy Lo Yang is extremely low, hiding behind that island. But with the death of that friendly Tirpitz, points have swung heavily in favour of the enemy team again. Our captain blind fires that Edinburgh, does manage to get a citadel strike. The Lo Yang is pushed out of cover. Captain turns his guns, and there are torps in the water as well. The Lo Yang gets taken out by a friendly Edinburgh. Another wave of planes from the enemy carrier sets our captain on fire. He repairs. The Edinburgh has made a fatal mistake by firing his guns too close to the enemy, triggering the smoke firing penalty. Ensures that he gets spotted in his smoke. Our captain is able to finish him off with a devastating strike. And that, for the first time in this game, the points swing in our captain's favour. Our captain, while capping here, does remain in quite a precarious situation. The enemy Atago is closing. He is on fire. His damage control is just about to come off cooldown. He does activate his damage con, which I consider a little bit risky with these torpedo planes coming in on him. He does manage to take the capture point. He goes bow into these torpedoes. He does take one directly on the bow, and most importantly, there's no flooding here. You see the flare going up. It activates the Will to Victory talent on this captain. Enemy rocket planes coming in, and the enemy CV has messed up here. He aims poorly, and all those rocket planes shatter harmlessly on the Lenin's hull. Enemy Atago has opened fire. It's only going to take a fire at this point. Our captain has burned through virtually all his consumables. Just one solitary charge of damage control remaining. Enemy Atago is keeping our captain under constant fire. He's sequentially firing his guns there. He is angling inwards, but he has gone fully bow on, which is a big mistake. A lot of cruiser captains will do this, and our captain citadels him straight through his bow, being capable of overmatching his bow armor. And it's a fatal mistake made by a lot of cruiser captains in certain situations like this, thinking that going exactly bow on will reduce the angle at which they can be hit at, but it simply allows a battleship to overmatch their bow armor in many cases. It's much better to hold a slight angle, and the enemy carrier gets taken out as well by our friendly Edinburgh. A really nice game and winning contribution by our captain with almost 190,000 damage and a massive 3,300 base XP. I'd like to thank you once again all for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Take a moment to check out some of my most recent videos and leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it.